I'm Eric Felton, and this is Beyond Category. We're here at the Voice of America Auditorium, where the walls are painted with murals from great American artists like Seymour Vogel, Ben Shahn, and Philip Guston. We're here to enjoy a modern American artist, Donny McCaslin, and his electric band. Let's head on inside and check it out. Donny McCaslin is here with us. Donny, fantastic. Tell us about that first tune.
Well, it's called Stadium Jazz, and I was playing a gig in New York City with Mark Giuliano playing drums, and we played a tune that was kind of intense. It ended really big, and he got up from the drum set and he looked at me and he said, "Man, that's some stadium jazz." And I was like, "Man, that's a great."
Not a lot of jazz gets done in stadiums.
Exactly.
So
that was
leading the way.
Just that for him saying that was the inspiration for me to write that tune.
Great. Now tell me about the electric band and what you're trying to bring into the mix of this sort of mashup of sounds.
Sure. I mean, it started with doing an electric record and thinking about some of my early influences. I grew up in Santa Cruz, California, and playing kind of a combination of Great American Songbook, standards, Duke Ellington tunes, Cal Tjader-esque Latin jazz, and tunes like Mercy, Mercy, Feel Like Making Love, sort of R&B-ish tunes. And so I was doing some of that as a kid. I was hearing Tower of Power, which was popular in the Bay Area, especially at that time period. And actually had the good fortune to play with Paul Jackson in a group. He was living in Santa Cruz that time. It was after he had been playing in the Headhunters.
He was the bass player?
He was the bass player with the Headhunters. He was living in Santa Cruz at that time, and he put together a band. I was about 16 years old and was playing with him. So I think part of it was me looking back to some of the early roots of my musical upbringing, and then also thinking about music that I love, funk and electronica, and trying to just find a way to put this all together in a way that would be interesting, organic, and compelling.
One of the raps on earlier efforts at fusion was, one critic sort of famously derided fusion as being a mule idiom, something that brought things together but wasn't productive itself of anything else. But this seems like you're not just taking jazz and melding it with the pop music of the moment, but you're drawing on the earlier jazz fusion tradition as well as the jazz tradition and electronica music. So bringing a lot together from various traditions.
Well, I would agree with that. And I think one thing that's really a key component for us, or for the way I perceive this music and this project, is the sense of improvisation and interaction that's going on all the time. And what's different about this, using the bassist Tim Lefebvre as an example, he's changing his sounds a lot with pedals and stuff. And so I interact with some of that, but also really it's about what he plays that I'm listening to and bouncing off of and feeding him ideas and stuff. And for me, that's always that sense of interaction and creating something together with the group is what's been most compelling to me about playing jazz music. And yes, it's a different kind of grooves that we're dealing with and sounds, but it's the same essence to me. Of communicating and just creating something in the moment.
Well, let's hear something else. What can you play for us next?
Well, I thought we'd play a tune that's called Losing Track of Daytime.
Donny McCaslin, that was very groovy. I like that.
Oh, thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about how you became a musician. Sure. I think we have this in common. Your dad was a musician. My dad was a jazz musician, and you sort of learn to do this by carrying equipment more than anything. So what was it like being a kid and following your dad around to gigs and everything?
Well, it was interesting. My parents were divorced, and the one day I would see my father was on Sunday, and so he would come pick me up. We'd drive down to the Santa Cruz Pacific Garden Mall.
And this is in California.
In California, in Santa Cruz, California, where I grew up. And I would help him to set up his Wurlitzer electric piano, his vibraphone, and for a while a marimba as well.
Now you've got Jason Lindner playing a Wurlitzer electric keyboard.
Exactly.
That's a real continuity of your childhood experience.
Yeah, my dad gets a kick out of it when I tell him, yeah, we're using a Wurlitzer and stuff. He loves it. So we do that, and when I was quite young, he actually had a chair for me, and I would sit on the bandstand and just listen to them. And they would play all day, from like noon to 4 or 5. Then we'd pack up the instruments, and depending on what season was, we would go out and shoot baskets, throw the football or play some baseball, and so on and so forth. So that was my kind of introduction into the musical life.
And if you can, make it through carrying all the equipment, the rest is all the fun stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you've now moved to New York.
Yes.
And you have a family of your own, and are you bringing your kids on to the gigs? You have a chair for your kids when they get old enough to sit up on the stage?
Potentially. I mean, I'm a little, I'm a little bit of a, bedtime is 7 p.m., so we stick to that. So as you can imagine, there's not too many gigs that are over by 7 p.m. So to this point, the kids have not seen me play too much, but that'll change as they get older, and they certainly hear me practicing in the house, and we listen to a lot of music and go to music class and stuff. So I feel like they're both getting good exposure to music and have good appreciation for it.
What audiences are you looking to develop for this music that you're doing now?
Well, I think with this electric project, I mean, I have to say I do feel like it's music that really speaks to a younger generation. I mean, I think because of the groove nature of it, it could appeal to everybody. But I also feel like some of the electronica elements that we use, some of the dub elements, really speak to a younger demographic, and it would be great to get them into this kind of music. It wasn't that I did it intentionally, but now that I'm in the middle of it and I think about what kind of music, what kind of people would respond to this music, I think there's actually a lot of people that could really dig what we're into.
Well, I'm enjoying it, and I'd love to sit in and try to see how it's like to be part of this music.
Well, absolutely.
What can we play?
Well, I have this tune that one of my earliest records was Mercy, Mercy, Mercy by Cannonball Adderley. So I tried to write a tune that kind of just captured that feeling, and I was thinking about that and Donny Hathaway, the great American singer. So this tune is called Memphis Redux, and it's sort of my tribute to Cannonball and Donny Hathaway.
Donny McCaslin. What a blast playing with such a funky band. That was Jason Lindner on the keyboards, Tim LaFave on bass, and Zach Danziger on the drums. And of course on the tenor saxophone, Mr. Donny McCaslin. I'm Eric Felton, and I hope you'll join us again soon for more good music on Beyond Category.